Hello friends, welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Sana, Mrs. Perfectly Imperfect Keto, where being perfect is overrated and being imperfect is appreciated. Today is Wednesday, it is May 3rd, and we are just gonna get right into what I'm fixing for my 1 meal a day dinner, as well as my family that is currently now meat heavy keto. I'm going to go over what I'm going to make for their version because it still falls under being carnivore. So I'm going to go ahead and share that as well. So just to kind of go over what I have here, simply I have just 2 Ziploc baggies. So this is how I simply just portion out my ground beef when I purchase the meat tube or the meat chub that I get. Or if I buy a very large quantity of ground beef, I simply just package it, as you can see, flat, and I freeze them. And I always put the date that I simply packaged and froze it. So what I'm going to do is 2 pounds each is what I'm going to use for mine and then the families. And what we're going to do with these ground beef is we are going to actually make some really easy, very simple meatloaves. This is not going to have any breadcrumb substitute at all. Simply what we're going to do here is we are going to just use simply the ground beef. We are going to use eggs. So for each 2 pounds, it's going to require 4 eggs each. So a total of 8 eggs is what I'm going to use. And for my families, I'm going to simply add some cheese. So what I do is I simply just purchase the block of cheese. So you can use any cheese that you would like. Simply what I'm going to use that I have on hand is simply this block of cheddar cheese. So it is white cheddar, and this simply is just the Cabot brand. And when it comes to the ingredients, it is clean ingredient. I'm going to try to show you all. It is actually kind of torn on the package where the ingredients are listed, and I also have the Florida sunshine blazing through the window. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it off to you all, but the ingredients are simply just fresh pasteurized milk, cheese cultures, salt, and enzymes. That is all that is contained in this cheese. So I like purchasing the blocks. I definitely suggest, no matter what way of eating journey that you are on, purchase the blocks and just shred it yourself. I have a hand shredder. I don't have a fancy shredder. And still yet, it does not take any effort or time at all. And you can definitely keep away from wonky ingredients that's in the pre-shredded, such as anything that's going to be used for anti-caking. Especially one of the anti-caking agents that you may see is potato starch, which we definitely want to stay away from when it comes to keto, ketovore, carnivore. So I shred it myself, and it works out to be cheaper as well. So you do you on that. So I'm going to go ahead and just get through the steps here of what we're going to do to get these carnivore meatloaves prepared before we get them put in our loaf pans here. My friends, so what we're going to do is we're going to simply go ahead and add our seasonings. So both of them, I'm going to go in with salt for both. And we're doing this right in the Ziploc baggie because, as I mentioned to you all before, the times that I can just mix it all in my Ziploc baggie, I'm going to go ahead and do so because we're not going to worry about any additional dishes to take care of. Both, I'm going to go in with some coriander. All right, let's give that a shake here. The top for this is not the best, so you definitely have to give it a lot of shakes to even get a little bit to come out. All right. So I'm just putting equal amounts of the seasoning into both here. All right, that should be good. So we have our salt, we have our coriander, and now I'm going to go in with some just garlic powder for both here. Okay, perfect. All right, so now that I got those seasonings in, I want to go ahead and give it a little bit of a mix first. And we're going to simply just do this right in the package, as I mentioned, and get that seasoning incorporated a little bit. But you can definitely, if you're wanting to go in with any sort of breadcrumb substitute, definitely go ahead and follow all of these steps, and then you can use your pork rinds, your grounded pork rinds. So that would be a really nice option. When it comes to myself as well as my children, I am allergic to pig. They are as well. So we don't do any pig products in the household at all, because myself as well as the kids, unfortunately, we are highly allergic. So it's the main reason why I am very adamant to even go to any barbecue places, because I'm simply just afraid of possibly just the cross-contamination of pig and possibly any bacon fat or bacon grease or any pig lard that might be used. I simply just keep away. So it's a difficult thing, but I've dealt with it since I was young, and now they kind of just deal with the same because mom is the same way as them. So we don't make it a big deal. So for us, it's not a big deal. So we have that seasoning incorporated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply go in and shred some of the cheese here for my husband as well as the kids portion. And I'm going to go in with just a little bit of the cheese here. And we'll go ahead and we will shred it by hand. So this is the amount that I'm going in with. So it's just a little slim block off of that larger block here. I do have this set for a larger shred or grate. So we're just going to go ahead and get this grinded really quickly here. But it doesn't take much effort at all to make sure that you have a clean ingredient cheese. It's worth going through this effort here. And I've had this grater for a very long time. So I simply just work with what I have. I don't worry on spending money to get something better or to get something quicker. I'm just the type, I deal with it and I just kind of stick to what I have. And for me, it is what it is. It does this just as good as any other electrical grater. Okay. All right, so I'm going to have this little piece that my kids will simply just munch on. So we're going to just dump this cheese that we went ahead and shredded. I'm going to put it in the portion, the 2-pound portion that's going to be for my husband and my kids. I'm dumping it right in the bag here. Just getting out any little bit of cheese that might have stuck to the container here. Okay. And then I do have some that dropped here on the paper towel. So I like to keep a paper towel down so I'm able to catch any little bits of cheese that I had grated. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the 4 eggs. So it's going to be 4 eggs for every 2 pounds of ground beef or 2 eggs per every pound. I do have my oven set already for 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So that has already beeped off. So it is ready to go. And for the loaf pans, I like using my silicone loaf pans. So that's what I have here is just my silicone loaf pans. I actually purchased these from Aldi when they had a really good markdown deal on them. I guess nobody was purchasing them. They had, I guess, the last few remaining in the aisle where they have all of the home appliances. They have all these home decorations, accessories. So that has been coined as the aisle of shame by social media. So that is what I call it as well, is the aisle of shame, because you simply go in there for your groceries at Aldi, but that aisle sucks you in. So you're basically going to the register, overspending more than you intended because all you intended was spending your money on groceries, but that aisle of shame, it sucked you in. So I had purchased it from that aisle and I've had it for, I want to say, it's definitely been over 4 years because I've definitely had it for as long as we've done keto. But I like using the silicone because I don't have to put any parchment paper liner in it. It comes out very easily. If you are using metal loaf pans, definitely either thoroughly coat it with either tallow, baking grease, lard, whatever choice you want to make, or line it with parchment paper. And then you don't have to worry about using any greasing. And you can also use butter as well. All right, so we have this one thoroughly mixed up, and this one is going to be our cheese. So I'm going to just dump it in here. And this is why I simply like mixing it right in the Ziploc baggie, because it does not take any effort at all. Okay, so now we're going to get into the one that is just simply for me, that has the elimination of cheese, since I am not reintroducing dairy until June. So June is simply right around the corner. If May goes as fast as April did, June will be here before I even know it. And if you did have a time period that you stayed away from dairy, what was the first dairy that you introduced? And specifically, if you stayed away from cheese, what is the first cheese you reintroduced? I definitely want to get that feedback. So definitely drop me a comment and let me know, how did it go? So I'm definitely curious. I'm still brainstorming what cheese. It's definitely going to be cheese that I'm going to go in with for my reintroduction. As far as what kind of cheese, I'm still brainstorming with what kind of cheese I will be reintroducing. So to get some ideas would be nice. I have gotten some suggestions before to go in with either goat or sheep's milk cheese, which would be the A2 cheeses, because it is just a lot more friendlier on the body. And some that might have got irritation from cow's milk cheese, they seem to do okay when it comes to the sheep or the goat's milk cheeses. Okay, so I have the non-dairy one mixed up here. So we're going to go ahead and just add it into this other loaf pan here. And I do have both loaf pans on a sheet pan. It does do really well to be able to have these silicone style pans on a sheet pan. only because it allows for them to be able to be handled a lot better, because as you can see here, these are bendable and flexy. So having them on the sheet pan, it allows me to simply be able to take it out very quickly and safely all together on one flat surface. So simply what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in with my hand and simply just press down the ground beef. So I'm going to go in with mine first because I don't want to cross over any of the dairy into my portion here. So I'm just flattening it down here is all I'm doing. So nothing special at all. And then once I get these pressed down, I'm going to go ahead and show you all what they look like. Okay. Now I'm going to go in with the cheese. But definitely, if you're incorporating dairy with your carnivore journey, you have endless possibilities when it comes to your meatloaf. Definitely use whatever cheese you want to use. You can also do so many different varieties, especially if you're incorporating other seasonings. Oh my gosh, this would be amazing to do like a cheeseburger meatloaf, a taco meatloaf, an Italian style meatloaf. The possibilities would be endless if you do not have any seasoning or any dairy restrictions. Okay, my friends, so I do have them both simply just formed and pressed down, and I'm going to bring you all over so you can see what it looks like prior to me putting it in the oven. All right, my friends, so as you can see, I simply just have the two prepared meatloaves here. This one here is the one that has the cheese, so you could see all those specks of that white cheddar that I had used. And this is simply the one that is just non-dairy. And what I like to do, if they should be unrecognizable once they bake, I simply just put a little sheet of parchment on the bottom of the one that would be considered mine. All right, so I will definitely update you all once these get done. So generally for the meatloaf, with this being 2 pounds each, I generally like to do anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour is typically what it would take. So we are going to simply just start off at the 45-minute mark, and I will update you all of how long in total these meatloaves actually did take. So stay tuned for that coming up next. All right, my friends, so I do have the meatloaves taken out from the oven. So it did go for the entire 1 hour, so a total of 60 minutes. And simply what I did was I set my oven to broil 500 degrees Fahrenheit. And I like to have that nice little bit of color on the top of the meatloaves. So I simply 500 degrees Fahrenheit broil for 2 minutes is all it took to get that nice little crust on the top. All right, so my friends, I'm going to have my plating up coming up next. All right, my friends, I do have my 1 meal a day dinner plated up. What I like to do is I like to take out the meatloaves from the loaf pan and simply just place them on a piece of parchment paper on the sheet pan. And simply it just makes it a lot easier to slice them down into slices. So I have a picture showing both of them on the parchment and on the sheet pan. So I will definitely make sure to include that as well. So I simply just have a substantial amount. This is pretty much half of my meatloaf that I made. And I simply just have some scrambled salted eggs on the side. So that's what I'm going to go in with for this Wednesday. I want to thank you all for joining me on this Wednesday. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all. Take care, friends.